Uh,
What song is that? Tell your girlfriend that I'm your girlfriend. Oh,
everyone, if you want to be friend with me, you need to have money. You need to be rich.
oh my
Rich.
god, that's how you open up your stream.
uh,
Hello,
I
welcome to
meant
my stream. By the way, if you want to be friends with
if you want to be friends with
it's
us,
your
you need
opening
to be
line.
rich. Rich in heart.
Wow.
Moral. Ah.
Rich in good manners.
Also money money.
Oh
Okane.
my goodness.
Because when I come over, you need to be you need to be my sugar wallet.
Coming over.
Yeah, yeah. Coming
Sugar
over.
encrusted wallet.
Okay, Jap. You starting the share chat?
Yes.
Okay.
I have started. I will
No
press
one's
easy
here yet, so
button.
I just had to let it out before everyone knows my
You
secret
know they can
desire.
watch the VOD, right?
Uh, uh, uh.
Hello, hello, VOD watchers. Welcome, welcome.
This is going on YouTube.
YouTube. Oh my god. Hello, YouTubers. Please subscribe and follow Shiro.
Give me your
Shiro
money.
Yue.
Because okane nai.
For more fun, weird stuff. Weird things. Okay, I'm ready. Do you want to start first or should I start first?
Want to sum you want? Want to sum. Tama
What to
naman
some is
aja.
what?
Want to sum is rock,
Okay.
paper, scissors.
Oh, in Singapore we say Oya Peso, which is like
Oh ya,
you put your
peasong.
hand
Ito
like
empat.
down or hand up. No, that's not the thing.
What is oya
Oh, you guys do
peapong?
that too? I don't know. They just call it Oya Peso. I don't know. Maybe it's
Oya
like Hokkien for
peasong.
something. You want to Google Oya
Besides,
Peso?
if the Singaporean is oya peasong, English is rock, paper,
It's like
scissors. Malaysian has two.
hands
One
up,
to sum
thumbs down.
and also latalilat.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And that's the
hands up
first
and
time I've
hands
heard
down,
it.
that one. Uh,
Oh, the hands up is latanilat.
uh, uh.
Oh, the Oya Peso is the hands up, hands down.
Oh,
Yeah. Do you know what the medieval version is?
medieval version.
Yeah. Boulder parchment shears.
Oh, that's
Get
normal.
stone as
I
boulder
guess it's more
parchment.
Englishy.
Uh-huh.
Oldest parchment shears. Oh my god.
Shears. All right. Chapter 10.
I would assume
While these
axe.
agreeable events were transpiring on the deck overhead, Cecile, warm and luxurious in her bed, directly underneath, had been doing some
Oh.
very busy thinking. So she's thinking up what is happening, what is going
Uh-uh.
on. So she's trying to put the puzzle pieces together. And had finally, aided to some extent by the
Oh
muffled
my
but
god, she
pleasant
heard?
tones of Wood's voice as it came intermittently through her ventilator, arrived at her decision. This decision was that she had better be a sensible girl and marry Huntington Wood.
Oh my god. That's how
Oh
she
my
became. What the
god!
heck? What's happening?
Oh
What?
my god!
Didn't
Oh
she hear him? I thought she heard him talking to Paula.
no! I think she heard like his voice, but it was like muffled. So she did hear the words, she just like the sound. Like through
Because
the
she thought he was
ventilator.
talking to himself.
Or like talking to somebody maybe. Or
Oh
maybe talking to
god.
Paula, but she just couldn't make out the words.
Oh
Oh
my
my
god.
god, but he already asked no, he already asked Paula to marry him. Oh no. I really hope she doesn't break them out. It's like so stupid.
Oh.
So oh I'm the oldest daughter, so I get to choose or something. I don't know. That'd be
I
shitty
get
if you did
first
that.
dip, she says.
That's crazy. By this time, she had come to fully realize that the undoubted attraction which Apple could have for her came through an appeal made neither to the heart nor to the mind. It was purely a physical attraction, and its hold was upon her material senses. Cecile was, however, very much alive in her senses, so she's thinking to herself, the only reason why she likes this guy is because he's hot. Like,
My
she
god.
knows it's because he's hot. So she's like, okay, well, since I'm like so much to pick up with this guy, I might as well marry somebody else.
Mm.
Because she doesn't want the physical attraction to be the reason
Oh
why she gets married
no.
lah. So she's smart enough to know that she shouldn't get married because of physical reasons.
Mm-mm.
She's smart enough to know that. But the problem is that her conclusion is like, okay lah, I guess Mr. Wood lah. Huh?
No.
That's your that's your conclusion. Because you don't get married for physical attraction. So yeah. So Cecile was, however, very much alive in her senses. If not the slave to them, she was at least a very indulgent mistress, and the things which they brought her she valued more than the higher attributes of mind. She revelled in all five bright pageants of colour, exquisite perfumes, whether natural or artificial, music of any sort, from a gypsy band to Bach, a terrapin or canvasback, and an old amontillado, a cold bath on a hot day, or hot bath on a cold one. So she's saying that she knows that she's very physically, like all her senses, like her sense of sight, her sense of smell, you know, her sense of hearing, right, her sense of touch. So yeah, her visit to the daffodil had catered to these senses. Oh, let's pin that before I forget. Da-da-da. Appleball was pleasing to the eye. Like, oh yeah, he looks nice to look at.
Oh no.
In coloring and contour, the odor of late roses perfumed the cabin of the yawl, for the poet loved flowers, and always had them about when procurable. His resonant voice rang in the ears of Cecile, and stirred more sympathetic chords than had ever an opera. The touch of his hand as he helped her into the gig had set her pulses pounding like old wine. As for taste, there had been certain moments when, in her vexation,
Mm-mm.
she had felt a strong desire to bite him.
What the
All right,
hell?
guys, this is proof. Since 1910, women want to bite.
What the hell?
This is not a new phenomenon, guys. Let your women bite you.
What the hell? Cecile? Are
Yum
you
yum yum
okay,
yum yum yum
Cecile?
yum. Yum 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 yum.
Oh no.
Since the 1910s, okay, it's not a new phenomenon. All these furries nowadays are like, oh
Furries?
yeah, I want to bite. Yeah, apparently that's the thing.
Oh no.
It's like the furries want to bite each other because it's a sign of affection. Like just a nibble. And then turns out it's been around since the 1910s or even further back. Okay, your
Oh
turn.
no.
Oh no.
Cecile was no fool, and she was quick to realize that these were not precisely the emotions upon which to lay the foundations of future happiness.
Oh,
Moreover, Cecile was
smart.
both luxurious and socially ambitious. Her husband must be a man with money and position, and she much doubted that Applebow had either. Would possess both with many other desirable qualities. Oh, you lost him already, La Cecile!
Dia nak
Cecile!
balik.
No, not in the least in love with him.
She's
What?
gonna tapi masih nak tak?
Liked and admired his personality. She found in him a great improvement over the idle and rather aimless young man whom she had rejected some months ago. Oh, you.
Oh, this is new version of him that she likes. Okay.
His disappointment and its manly method of treatment, followed by real philanthropic interest in his work, had matured and sweetened him. Cecile thought it possible that in time she might grow really to care for him. Bitch! You could have cared for him back then! Ah, stress! I
But he was a
stress!
different
We just
then he was a
started!
boy, now he's a man.
We just started, oh!
Different. We just
Also,
started the romance with
he would make
Paula. Oh
such
my
a
god.
creditable husband. Clean cut, good looking, thoroughbred of time. Thoroughbred? Are you is he some
Talking about
sort
a
of
horse.
breed? A horse?
Apparently. A good breeding, a lord, you say? A
Popular
lord
with
of
all who
Upperclass.
knew him, well connected, and very rich. Cecile had observed a certain disposition on his part for her sister Paula, but she was too accustomed to seeing her rejected suitors turn to Paula to put much importance on the fact. What does that mean? She had not the slightest
Oh,
doubt that she would.
oh.
Oh my God! I can't even finish the sentence. She could whistle wood to heal whenever she. Ah, she's so decided.
So basically, she's like, she knows that Wood and Paula got something, something, but she's
Hmm.
like, but every single guy that I rejected always goes to Paula. Just what Paula said, right? Like, don't give me false hope because every man my sister rejects, usually comes to me and like tries to, make a proposal to me. So she knows that she doesn't want to like, fall for it, right?
Ah,
So she's keeping her wall up basically. But now
goodness.
Cecile is also like, yeah, lah, they always go to Paula, but
They'll
in
come
the
back.
end,
My God.
they want me.
My God. Cecile
She
wanted
could
to
whistle and
marry.
lip seal.
She was 24 years old, a
Ya dah
full-natured
tua dah.
beauty. Oh, then what am I?
That time
What
24
am I?
24 years old was like too old already.
Oh, back then, a
Yeah, back then
full-natured
in the
beauty with
1910s.
plenty of high vitality beneath her luxurious laziness, and she found herself becoming bored with her spinsterhood. She was tired of the shark and her family as a steady diet, and she wanted the big world and a definite individual position in it, which is to say that she wanted the fullness of life, and she decided that, under the circumstances, Huntington Wood was about to be the most fitting and available person to furnish her with it. Oh,
Yo, he's
tidak
like,
ikhlas oh.
she's just using him. She's just using him.
I know.
Goodness.
Scarcely had Cecile arrived at this conclusion when she heard the rush of light feet on the deck above, followed by steps flying down the companionway. The next instant the door of her room was thrown was thrown unceremoniously
Ceremoniously.
open, and Paula dashed in. "Oh, Cecile, Cecile!" she cried. "Huntington has just asked me to marry him."
Jing, jing, jing.
Cecile raised herself in bed and stared wildly at her sister.
Yeah, you better not. Okay, as an older sister, if this happens to you, what would you say?
Hmm?
You would mengalah, right? No? To your younger sister, I'd be like, oh, it's
Oh,
okay.
don't worry, I won't have any ex
You're
near
still
come close
happy.
to my family. I never.
But if your sister brings him home, you're like, oh shit.
Oh, she has her own taste. She doesn't have taste like mine.
Okay, thank goodness.
It was
Thank
a
freaking
bit
goodness.
trying, and for the moment took her clean aback. Paula was far too excited to notice her sister's expression, which was changing from astonishment to a dismay not unmixed with resentment. Oh, so it's not like she resented, is it? Wait, what? Does it
No, so not unmixed, therefore mixed. Is double
Jangan
negative.
buat double meaning, Otter.
So
Paula's
not unmixed, so that means mixed.
uh,
So a dismay mixed with resentment.
Paula's
So
cheeks
she's
were like
actually dah tak suka lah.
Jackminot
Yeah. Sorry, your turn.
roses, and her eyes
Mhm.
sparkled like the sun on deep green water. Ooh.
She's so happy. Don't break her
As was
heart.
habitual when greatly moved, her speech was swift and torrential, and she gestured with quick hands, shoulders, and little nods and jerks of her head. What is happening? Is she's
She's like,
malfunctioning?
oh my god, sister.
She's malfunctioning, artist.
He was so darling and manly. He said that when you refused him, he was sure that his life was blasted and that he would never love again. Then, instead of moping or traveling or drinking, he went to work with his charity. And that healed the wound, and now he's deeply in love again. With me this time. And oh, Cecile, I just adore him and always have.
Always have?
What? Yeah, so that means even when he was, with Cecile, she was like, oh man, I wish he look at me, that kind of thing. What? Cried Cecilia sharply. Yes, dear, even when he was in love with you. Paula's rich color deepened. Because it was plain enough you did not care for him in that way. If he had come to me at once for consolation, I would never have married him. Never, never, never. It might even have killed my love for him. But now that he has gone away and got over it, and came back heart whole, Cecile, why do you look at me at an odd way? Paula's eyes opened very wide. She stared at her sister, and slowly the color faded from her face, leaving it white. Cecile stared back without answering. In the course of Paula's rapid recital, she had made up her mind. Wood had told her when she refused to marry him that he would love her always. Nevertheless, and Cecile chose to believe him. Under these circumstances, she did not think that Paula should be permitted to marry him,
Oh my god.
so she stared at her sister with a set, pale face. No, he said he would always love me. What are you talking about? He's mine.
Oh
Oh
my
my god,
god.
sisters fighting over a guy. Cecile, cried Paula, her voice trembling, so that she could scarcely speak. Do you, are you, do you care for him yourself? Cecile's eyes filled. The color flooded her face. She was one of those natural actresses of whom the very reflex emotions lend themselves to the role. Paula was clinging to the foot of her bed, watching her sister with a white, anguish filled
Wow,
face.
this is guilt tripping, man.
Do you? She cried despairingly. So now the younger sister is like, I think she's willing to mangala if the older sister says I love Wood, right? So the sister's asking, do you love him? Because the younger sister knows that the older sister usually doesn't fall in love with guys, right?
My God.
Like she's very like rational, right? Like she's just using guys, right? So this is the first time when she asked the sister, are you sure? You sure? You sure you're
Ugh,
in love with him? Right? Do you actually care for him?
this is messy. Eh?
Right? But of course, Cecile, right? The eyes filled, meaning that she's like about to cry. But the next sentence is that she is pretending to cry. So macam she's trying to get
She's
like
guilt
Paula to feel pity
tripping.
for her. Yeah, like she's like playing the victim. Oh my goodness. To your own sister? Damn. What a bitch. Your turn.
Okay. Cecile nodded. Yes, she whispered, then twisted upon her side and buried her face in the pillows.
Oh, yes, I love him.
For several
Gross.
minutes, she remained in this position, during which time a choked sob and the rustle from Paula's raincoat, followed by the gentle closing of her door, told her that her sister had gone. Cecile, oh my god, I feel bad for Paula. Cecile then raised herself, glancing
Well, but he
instinctively
confessed to me though. Hmm.
in the mirror at the
Sorry.
side of her bed. There was a hot flush on her cheeks, her hair was in disorder, and her gray eyes held a sullen look. Altogether, her appearance was not pleasing to her. I look like a pussy cat, she muttered, and slipped out of bed. Standing before the mirror, she gently massaged her face with her hands. And I rather think I am one, too, she added under her breath. She rang for the maid, who brought her tea and toast. Seal was thoughtfully making her petit déjeuner.
Déjeuner.
Oh, I
Petit
thought it was
déjeuner.
F. Petit déjeuner. Like
Which is, yeah,
it's gonna
breakfast.
become all
French.
Australian. When there came a tap at her door, and Hermione, fully dressed in grey sweater and a green homespun skirt, entered. What have you
Guys,
been?
the next sister. Wait.
What have you been saying to Paula?
From
Demanded
my father for
Hermione
how?
abruptly. She's in her room
Adik aku.
sobbing her heart out. Cecile's face showed the keenest sorrow and sympathy. Oh, Hermione, she began with her
They
mouth full of
she's
toast.
trying to act to Hermione. I think Hermione will not fall for it.
Oh my god.
Babe.
And then went on to tell what had occurred. Hermione listened with her black eyebrows drawing a straight line across her deep violet eyes. Her vital face hardened in a manner not
She's like,
pleasant to see
sure,
in so
sure.
young a girl. Cecile, glancing at her, grew actually frightened. Oh, so you're scared of the youngest sister? Hermione! She
Like,
protested.
she's freaking lying.
Why did you look at me in that way? I did not tell Paula that she was not to have Huntington. No doubt he is really in love with her and no longer cares a snap for me. But when she asked me if I cared for him, what was I to tell her? The truth, said Hermione shortly. But I
She knows that you don't actually care.
I know. My god, this is
You can't
so
lie to her.
shallow. But I did I
She
not?
knows. She knows.
Hermione thrust out her chin. No,
No,
said
you
she.
didn't, you
You
bitch.
told her a
You lied.
lie. And she turned abruptly on her heel and went on deck. Oh my god, that's so
So
shallow.
Paula doesn't know. Paula like falls for the trick, but Hermione's like, bro, I know your tricks, bro. You're freaking fake.
Our artist, and I cannot go on like this.
My turn, my turn. Okay.
Yeah.
The first person whom she saw was Captain Hellstrom. Nak complain kat bapak dia, I guess. He having relieved the owner, who was joyously disposing himself in the galley. Hellstrom was peering into the fog, which was thinning out on all sides. The big Norwegian's beard and moustache were beaded with the moisture, and he looked like a hero of Wagnerian opera. What are you looking for? Hermione demanded. For the violet pilot fish, the lookout reported a little yawl on the purple. Then the fog
Is
closed in
this the
again.
dad
I hope it's
or
Rusty,
the male nanny?
the male nanny,
Yeah.
the Norwegian guy. Why? On account of your bet? No, the bet is nothing, but a good offing, and the tide is setting like a mill race onto Cape Sable. Their glass is dropping, and it looks like a southeaster. And they would not be well to be much nearer in. Oh, I know what's gonna happen.
But
Oh my god, you know what's gonna happen? His boat right gets crashed. Then he has to come on their boat.
wow, that's so wow, that's so
It's like he won't drown. I feel like that's gonna happen, bro. It's gonna be insane.
my god. Well,
I think because he's saying he's worried about the thing, right?
uh,
First time I ever saw you worrying about the pilot fish, observed Hermione. That is true. Since I've seen him in the water, swimming beat you, there is something about the young man. I do not know. Oh, the papa also like he likes him.
oh
So
my
because
god.
he saw you swimming with you, right? Because you saved my daughter's life, you know. He passed his hand across his eyes as though to clear his vision. Well, said Hermione, what about him? That is use what I cannot tell. But his face clings in my mind like a green hand in the rigging. He glanced at Hermione, and something in the girl's face caught his attention and held it. What is the matter? Your daughter. Go and tell Paula. I want her to totally complain about her
I
sisters. I would love
know.
it. This was exactly what Hermione wanted. She led him to the brink of the quarterdeck, and there, out of all earshot, told him of the complication between Cecile, Paula, and Huntington Wood. Kinda kena. Then this is a love triangle. What now?
Oh no. It's
Frankly
not really a
concluding
love triangle.
with her own unmaidenly observation to Cecile, Captain Hellstrom listened with his heavy brows knit. That is good and bad, he said, when she had finished. I am glad and sorry. Quarrels between sisters are very bad, but Mr. Wood is the one to settle the business. He's in love with Paula, and he will marry with her, and they will be very, very happy. Cecile does not care for him, but perhaps she thinks she does, and for that reason you have done very wrong to say what you did. It was unkind and unjust and
What do
unladylike,
you
and you
mean?
will go down at once and ask her pardon. I won't. She's a bitch. Go, Hermione. And Hermione turned without a word to the companionway. As she entered Cecile's room, she saw that her sister had been crying. This softened Hermione and made her apology spontaneous.
Crying for what?
I'm sorry, Cecile, said she. I was angry and spoke without thinking. Will you forgive me? Cecile nodded, and her grey eyes filled. You don't really think it, Hermione? No, if you say you care for Huntington, I believe you. But I do not believe that you care 100 part as much as Paula does. Oh, Cecile, why don't you keep out of it? Just don't, jangan lah, like your own business. Why you must masuk campur?
I know.
Cecile looked thoughtfully at her sister and nodded. I'm going to, said she. I've been thinking it over and have come to the conclusion that I was a cat. I will tell Paula so. Don't let us talk about it. I'm awfully ashamed. What is going on above? So she actually feels ashamed? I don't know. She's just saying this or she actually feels that way. Maybe she realizes she should not
Macam
have
dah
said that.
percaya je.
Mm.
I cannot believe it.
Does fog and calm, said Hermione, pleased at getting off the topic. Uncle Chris is worrying about the pilot fish. So am I. Cecile knit her brows. She had honestly determined to give up Huntington Wood, and had rather consoled herself by thinking that she would at least, quote, take it out of the pilot fish. So she's like, fine, I guess I'll give up Mr. Wood. But I'm going to, like, still play with the pilot fish, is what she wants.
Oh
And
my
now
god.
here was Hermione confessing to an anxiety
Hmm?
for this self sufficient young man. Poor Cecile felt that she was navigating shallow and uncharted waters. What are you worrying for, Hermione? Uh-oh. She's like, why are you worried? I don't like to think of Appleboy out here in that little tub. We are in a silly business, I think. No sillier than he is. It's undignified. Papa gives him a dare and he takes it. Suppose he will come to grief, how would we feel? Like, what if he actually dies,
Oh my god.
That's crazy. So that's what she's saying, like, like, of course I'm worried because what if he actually dies? Right? I don't see that we are to blame if a silly young man in a 60-foot yawl decides to stay in with a big sea-going schooner. It's rather cheeky of him, I think. So she doesn't care. She's like, what? Why? If he dies, it's not my fault. It's his fault. He's so stupid for doing it. Come on. It's a game, Hermione knit her brows, and not one that I care for. I like Applebow. Besides, her chin deepened a trifle. He's the only miner I've ever met to give me a thrill. Hermione! It's nothing to be ashamed of. He fascinates me, and I like him too. He's something between a tiger and a great boy. When he leaped on that pig of a keeper, he was a tiger, tawny and fierce, and swift and strong. Ooh, Hermione's eyes kindled, and the light in them found its reflection in those of Cecile. Her breath came more quickly. And the boy? She asked. Hermione laughed, and the colour spread to the tips of her little ears. When he kissed me goodbye.
Oh,
What?
yo.
cried Cecile, honestly scandalized. With all of her coquetry, Cecile had always drawn her deadline before the kissing stage. So that means it's her first kiss? Or
Oh,
maybe she had
no.
other kisses. Or maybe. Oh, no, no, Cecile. Cecile has never kissed anyone before. Cecile,
Oh,
oh my
my
god,
God.
Cecile has never been kissed. Okay.
Such a
He kissed me
virgin.
goodbye
Oh,
out there in
sorry.
the water, said Hermione. Oh, sorry. You wanna go? Your turn.
Nah, I said, well, Ajax Cecile. What a virgin.
Oh. He kissed me goodbye out there in the water, said Hermione, smiling. I couldn't help myself. I'm not sure what I would have done if I could. It was a very diluted kiss and finished underwater.
Finish underwater.
What? Finished underwater.
Oh,
Sus. Okay, your turn.
finish underwater. Oh,
A diluted kiss.
oh.
Ooh.
Ahem.
Ahem, ahem,
Hermione,
ahem.
you ought to be ashamed. Cecile looked at if she had just been kissed herself. Well, it wasn't much pay, considering the service recently rendered. To tell the truth, I was rather crazy about it. I've been kissed under. Oh! Ah! She's been kissed under the mistletoe and under the ear.
Hermione's wild, bro.
Wait. Under the ear and under protest. Wait, what? Oh! But to be kissed
Hermione's
on.
Hermione's been around, girl. Hermione is
Oh
wild.
no! Hermione! Oh, you. So,
Ooh.
her sister is maybe a playgirl, but she's wild. Hermione.
Yeah. I mean, she did kill those birds.
Oh, yeah.
She's a
But to
murderer,
be
she's
kissed
a
on the
wild
water
girl.
is distinctly sensational. Like it, and I would have drowned happy. Ay! Sampo! So wait! Slow down, Hermione! Hermione! Hush, you shameless hussy! Oh no. Lucille was laughing in spite of herself, but she was agitated also. Oddly, in spite of her disapproval, she was conscious of a sudden envy of her younger sister's unaffected naturalness. So Hermione had been kissed under circumstances which she found most agreeable, and she did not mind saying so. But Cecile knew well that Hermione would put up a very pretty little fight before she would submit to the same sort of thing again. Still, as an older sister, she felt that she ought to read teach
Yeah,
ought to
read,
read
teach, same thing. Like,
Hermione a little lesson, in which sophistry there was a certain element of ironic humor which Cecile, being a very feminine woman, was quite unable to appreciate. You surprised me, my dear, she said sedately. Of course, you are merely a child, and, as you say, you couldn't very well help it.
they're 5 years
Bitch!
apart, by the way. They're 5 years apart, by the way. Oh, you don't know what you're doing. You just go around
Oh
kissing
my god.
men.
But
You're
I
so
wish
wild.
but I wish I had kissing men nowadays they just go around and had known that this undesired appendage of ours had collected his pay. I would have told him what I thought of it. He
Mm.
seemed to think that it was quite right and a gentlemanly sort of performance and all that. But if a man had done that sort of thing to me, rats, said Hermione and went in to console Paul.
She's like, I'm not here for a lecture. Bye.
Diam ka, diam lang ako. It was 2 days after this
Mm.
unpleasant incident that the shark sailed into Halifax harbor, arriving at about noon. Exactly 4 hours later, the daffodil was sighted, blowing in with a damp breeze which had backed into the east and smelt of trouble. Get under way, growled Belle. Keep the scoundrel on the move. Hey, uncle, brille ako.
Mhm.
The shark had already left her forwarding address for Old Point Comfort, a little run of 800 or 900 miles. She got her anchor
But that's very
shortly
far away.
after the daffodil had dropped her own. Oh, sengaja! It is probable that Applebow followed her out and hung on her heels through the night, which was sufficiently clear, for at daylight the news spread over the schooner that the yawl was on the starboard quarter, a mile astern, and as the day advanced she hauled up a beam, about half a mile distant. All of
Oh,
that
that's very
day,
close.
close. So like they're close to each other.
Half a mile is like 1.5 km, right? It's quite close. I mean, you can see it from afar,
All of
one
that
kilometer
day, the
away.
two vessels were inside of each other. Oh, okay, you're right. Toward evening, the breeze dropped light and Belle was wild. We could leave him with a bit of wind and sea, but this sort of thing is just his weather. Wait, though, the race is not always to be swift, which was lucky for the shark. Man is so jahat gila. At midnight, the wind dropped to almost a calm. Daylight showed the daffodil wallowing drowsily on the long, oily rollers, almost in the same position as of the evening before. She was under her mainsail and for staysail only, the jib and mizzen being dropped. Captain Bell's language would be barred by the censor. "It's an insult!" he raved. "Shortening sail to keep from leaving us! Just you wait, you peroxide blondine! I'll make you wish you were in the Adirondacks. In the Adirondacks,
No
what is
idea
that?
what it is. I don't know. Maybe some other place.
Wow, peroxide blondine. That's quite an that's quite a
Yes,
name.
insult.
I
No,
wanna
but it's
use
like
that. Huh?
the peroxide is like basically you dye your hair.
Whoa.
So he's trying to say that he's fake blonde. Like he's
Wow, wow,
dyeing his peroxide
wow.
blonde.
That's quite an insult. Hey, this old man got
Not a real blonde.
got some words in him. As if to help him to fulfill his threat, the breeze sprang up freshly from southwest, with
Southwest,
the
yeah.
with a promise of plenty to follow. Bell tackled inshore. The pilot fish stood out to sea. "Now, what is the chump doing that for?" Bell demanded for Hellstrom. "He thinks he thinks the wind will back into their southeast, and I'm not sure, but he was oh my god, he was right. It is late for this of the season, and the wind is a little crazy." It's more apt to come northwest and hard with this rising glass," Bell retorted. But before the following morning the wind was southeast, thus putting the daffodil well to windward. Are
So
this the huh?
basically, so basically, he made the wrong call. Him, a navy man in the army of don't know how many years, doesn't know how the wind on the ocean will blow, and this little pilot fish does. That's like a blow to his ego, man.
Maksudnya, that means that Applebow is like knows better?
Like actually good at navigating. Either that, or maybe the guy. Remember the other guy on the ship,
Oh.
the Finnish guy. Remember, there's two guys on his ship,
Oh
right? Him
yeah,
and this other guy,
probably.
the drunkard guy. So maybe the drunkard guy is actually really good. And knowing where the wind is going to come from, who knows? Bell's prophecy was true, though a trifle belated, and a hard northwester gave the shark the weather. Okay, so it did go northwest eventually. The weather gauge for the finish of the run. Early one morning, the old schooner pushed in sluggishly against the 4 knot tide racing out between Old Point and the Rip Raps, and came to anchor just beyond the Can Buoy, opposite the hotel, on the far side of the swash channel leading to Hampton. There was no sign of the daffodil. Uh-oh. And Captain Bell was anticipating a pleasant, if unhygienic, sojourn with certain whiskey drinking, poker playing friends from the cruisers and battleships lying in the port, when, to his intense disgust, he received a letter from his lawyers
Lawyers?
requesting an interview for the current week. Uh-oh, I got lawyers. Marblehead, he snapped to Hellstrom. I've got to be in Boston the end of this week or early the next. So the shark got her anchor, scarcely wet, hoisted sails, still unfurled, and slipped out with the same tide which had so stubbornly contested her entry. Saddened eyes from the men of war followed her departure. They're like, oh man, we could have hung out with the girls.
Who said? Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the men are like the
In the harbor?
officers are from the army. Yeah, they're in a harbor.
Oh
So
my
they were already
god.
there and they were gonna have fun. An old crony with three lovely daughters and a taste for vintage wines is a serious loss to his friends.
God.
Yeah, they want to just hang out with the girls.
Oh
Never mind, Bill observed philosophically to Huntington Wood. I never got off so easily in all my life. That gang would have got me tanked at my expense, drunk up all my brandy, smoked all of my good cigars, cleaned me out at poker, and finished the job by telling me that if it wasn't for the nose pull or the old shark, they made bets on which way she was going. I know 'em. Rotters all. My only revenge is that Cecile usually lives 3 or 4 baying at the moon. Does that make sense?
no.
So he says like lucky I don't
Oh,
have to stop
okay.
here. So basically because he says that if he had done that, chances are, he would they would still like drink all his drink and brandy, blah blah blah.
Oh,
But
okay.
Nasib, that his oldest daughter, Cecile, would usually his revenge is make them bay at the moon macam like werewolves ah. My love,
Bang,
don't leave
bang.
me. I
Alago na
love you
juga
so
anak tu
much.
jadi
So
playgirl eh.
yeah, so he actually enjoys it. He knows, and he's like, hey, my girl, that's my girl.
That's my daughter.
Which is not a pretty
Wait, is
speech for a number
Huntington
of
with them?
reasons. Yeah, he's still there on the ship, apparently.
Oh.
Chief of them being that the man to whom he spoke had been left in the same lugubrious position some few months previously. So he's like, you probably shouldn't be saying this to the guy who was literally in the same position. Which is weird lah. He's like, dang it, I'm so glad that she did that to them. Then he looked at her, oops, sorry.
He said
Shouldn't
this
have
to
been saying that to you.
Huntington.
Macam terasa.
He was like, ouch, man. I'm still here.
But Captain Bell was possessed of his full share of shrewdness, and it was already apparent to his roomy eye that his guest was in a fair way of being consoled. So he's like, yeah, I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure he doesn't care. Halfway across the mouth of Chesapeake, with that same roomy eye, which was one of the quickest aboard to pick up objects at sea, discovered a diminutive fleck on the drab wall of the sky. Guess who's coming? Here comes that infernal pilot fish, said he. I
Oh
thought
my
we
god.
lost him. Your turn.
Wood, sufficiently keen of sight, marveled. There had been no question in Bell's voice. He was merely stating a fact. Wood's glass revealed it as a Okay. Kenapa dia ulang? Wood's class revealed it as a fact. Like most men who have certain talents which excel and some lacking faculty which can never be more than an object of ridicule, Bell was unconscious of the former and fought hard for recognition in the latter. In the same connection, he was a profound man, yet an authority on the
Profane
Bible.
man.
Or profane? Oh,
So
thank you.
profane meaning somebody who like curses a lot, but yet he knows a lot about the Bible. So much.
I I really have bad eyesight now. Profane man, yet an
Mhm.
authority on the Bible. At heart, he was religious. Kunin mo ang babi! Diyan begitu nak. Tuhan marah. Oh my god.
So he curses a lot, but it's like God will
Religious.
be my
Yeah.
shepherd.
The news of the pilot fish brought all hands on deck more quickly than might have done an alarm of fire. The wind had got into the northeast, and Bell, scanning the weather conditions with an experienced eye, told Wood that it looked to him as if they were in for a hard Easter, and that the following morning might find the shark behind the Delaware breakwater, there to wait until the weather improved. Daffodil was coming up with the fresh easterly breeze, valiantly bucking the strong ebb tide. As the two vessels rapidly approached, a peculiar quiet fell upon the deck of the Shark. The little yawl looked very tiny and very much alone upon the broad expanse of grey water, and the knowledge that she was coming in from the sea at the end of a run of nearly 8,000 miles inspired a sort of admiration.
Because they didn't get to board either,
Uh-huh.
right? So maybe they bought like cepat-cepat, like get all the stuff and then quickly start going again.
Oh my god. Wait, how does Apple Boy have the money to always like top up
He
his?
must be rich. Surprise, surprise. Probably has a rich family. Because
Uh,
again, he went to the same college as Wood, and at that time, like to go to like those universities like Harvard,
he did
fancy
say
universities,
his family used to
Cambridge,
be royalty, right?
Yeah. So, he
Uh,
has money.
Even though my Elliot doesn't have money, he's a
So,
successful author. Uh.
so Cecile. So Cecile, don't worry, he's got money, girl. Just marry him.
As she drew closer aboard, they could see the ruddy yellow head of Applebow projecting. They must have not showered.
Obviously. Shower for it. It rains, Gwynna.
Projecting above the high combing and forward the dark, squat figure of the Finn standing by the mast. Stand by to give him a dip on the ensign. Ensign? Growled Bell
Yeah,
to the.
basically it's
Huh?
like just say hi, I guess.
Oh, okay. Growled Bell to the
The
quartermaster of the watch.
flag maybe.
The courses of the two vessels would bring them abreast, abreast of one another at the distance of about half a mile. Hermione glanced at her father. Why don't you speak him? Why don't you speak him and tell him where we're bound? She asked. Not a bit of it, snapped Belle. Let him find out for himself at Old Point. With everything taught and drawing, the daffodil drew a beam, and through the glass Hermione saw the fin scramble aft and run a small packet of the peak to the peak. Wait. In the last chapters, who sent
Mm-hmm.
Appleball a letter saying that where they're going? Hermione.
Cecile. Cecile.
Wait.
It was
Appleball
Cecile.
might have thought it was Hermione. Oh,
I mean, maybe.
they're
But he
gone.
can probably tell the handwriting difference. But wait, but Hermione never
Yeah,
wrote writes
never
to
wrote
him.
back. Wait,
So
ada pernah
maybe
satu kali. There's the one time. She wrote back.
is it?
Yeah, pernah. She was like, "Kau tunggu, aku tulis balik
Oh
ah."
right, right, right. Oh yeah, because he's like, oh, you got my eye color wrong.
uh,
Right? I think it was because he got her eye color wrong and she was like, bro, you don't even know me. Who do you think you're talking to?
I hope he's not
Yeah,
that
that pissed off.
stupid to like mistake Cecile's handwriting as Hermione though.
He probably is. Knowing the story, he probably
He
is.
probably is.
Okay. He
There,
probably can't figure it out. He's
I
like he's too
know.
busy chasing this big ship.
There goes his ensign and stops, said she. Dip! Oh my god, ordered Belle. The shark's ensign came slowly down. At the same moment, Applebow broke out his at the main peak. Peak. The daffodil held straight on her course toward Hampton Roads. I'll bet he hasn't had much sleep, said Belle grimly. From the
My god,
forecastle
Dad.
of the shark there came the subdued, though vehement sounds of a lively altercation. Altstrom came swinging aft, scratching his curly grizzled head. "Their bets is all mixed up, sir," said he. "I don't know if I owe their cook $10 or if he owes me 15. What does it mean? What were they
Okay, so maybe they bet that he would reach at the harbor, but then they bet that he wouldn't reach. That's I don't know. Maybe they bet different things at different times. Like one bet's
Wow.
reach and then one bet's
They
not
got
reach.
they got
And then so it's like,
confused.
yeah, they got confused whether it's reach or not reach.
Artistan
My turn?
chapter 11, right?
Chapter 11. For 3 days, the shark beat stubbornly back and forth against a hard headwind and a short, choppy sea, into which she drove her bows like a wedge, completely to check her way. The wind never exceeded the velocity which the sailors call a fresh gale, but it held dead ahead, appearing with devilish persistency to follow the bow around when the schooner tacked, hanging fiendishly on the end of her raking jibboom. 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 Nobody aboard particularly cared. The shark, if slow, was the height of comfort, even in the seaway, with very little angular heel, and no motion to speak of beyond the steady churning of her bows. In the cabin they read and played bridge, and Belle went into the galley and made certain horrible messes, which were, as usual, sent forward to the crew, but unfeelingly fell overboard en route. Her two sisters had convinced Paula that she was free to marry the man she loved, whereupon Wood had formally requested a hand of Captain Bell. Alhamdulillah, I mean, please, no more, no more drama. Who most cordially gave his consent. This occasion was made one of the general celebration for and off. At dinner, Belle grew genially mellow and made Excellent speech, after which the two people appeared to fade gently from the popular view and find much service for secluded corners of the vessel.
Oh.
No. Oh. They found service in a secluded corner. Ooh. At any rate, Bell observed on the third day of the stubborn blow, if we are not getting to windward fast, it's comforting to know that the pilot fish is doing even worse.
Uy,
The
jahat oh.
chances are he hasn't tackled it. A little boat that size couldn't get north a mile a day in this chop. Had the worthy naval-man known that at that particular moment Mr. Appleborough was booming up the Delaware River with a fair wind and tide, bound for the entrance of the Raritan Canal, which would eventually drop him out at South Amboy in the lower bay of New York. Bell's disgust might have held an explosion dangerous to his health. So again, so basically like the route, right, is that he is going out in the ocean, but the little boat, he decided to take a river route.
Hmm?
So it's like more chill because it's like there's no big winds blowing, right? So the river is quite chill. So he goes down the river
Oh, that's
route.
smart.
Yeah. So yeah. so, so he, it's like, hey, actually, you know what? I can go this other way. And the thing about river is that it's usually like close to like towns and stuff, so
Hmm?
he can just like replenish quite easily. Smart. Smart pilot
Outsmart that
fish.
eh.
For the poet, on arriving at Old Point Comfort and learning that the shot had sailed for Marblehead, Massachusetts, took a careful survey of the weather and decided to go up inside. So instead of going on the outside, which is the ocean, they go through the rivers. So it was apparent that there was an easterly gale brewing, and the storm signal was already flying from the station at Old Point. Applebone knew that under these conditions, it would be a waste of time to go to the sea, and determined to outflank his host by taking the inland route as far as New York. Then, if the weather was still contrary, to keep on east through the Sounds. Long Island, Block Island, the Vineyard, and Nantucket. This route would ensure still water the whole distance, so super chill. Not stressed at all.
Oh no.
From Hampton Roads to Cape Cod, while the northeastern, then blowing outside, would enable him to make one long leg of it, close hauled, up to Chesapeake. So he's taking a longer route, but it's
Hmm?
fast for him because he's a small boat. So he can go through the rivers. A big boat cannot go through the rivers, can only go out ocean. And since the ocean is very stormy, this is going to take a long time now. So he's like, I'll probably be there before them. He was therefore nearly to the Raritan Canal before Bell had even laid Cape May abeam. Propelled by a four-mule breeze through the canal and the ebbing tide in the Raritan River, the Daffodil was skimming around the end of Staten Island, while the shark was walloping about off Atlantic City, slatting and slamming in a calm which followed the blow. So remember how I said maybe if he followed, he would have died? He's not even there.
God.
So he's avoiding it entirely, so sorry.
He's still alive,
But also
everyone.
that also means maybe the big boat might have to the shark might die. Maybe the big boat will actually not be able to handle this much. Because again, you have to think about it. The boat has been, you know,
Waiting for a long time.
sailing for very long. Yeah, might be time to stop.
My
The
time to
daffodil caught a
retire.
toe up. Retire, right? Get your ladies, get the daughters married off. Caught a tow up the East River behind a bluestone barge, and cast off at Randall's Island to catch the first of the ebb at Whitestone. Here, in company with 100 or more coasting schooners, known as the Ebb Tide Fleet, she was favoured by a roaring northwester, which boomed her the whole length of the Sound, from Execution to Fisher's Island. So basically, all good winds, all the winds in her favour. Holding on eastward through the sound, she encountered fog and baffling breezes, in spite of which she rounded Cape Cod, crossed Massachusetts Bay, and dropped anchor off the Eastern Yacht Club at Marblehead, some 36 hours before the shark was sighted. Let's go! 36 hours early. A fresh southeast breeze brought Bell careening around the cape and across the bay, thereby doing much to eliminate his disgust with the weather encountered earlier in the run. Who wants to bet that we find pilot fish at Marblehead? He asked, jocosely. I do, replied Hermione. Huh? I'll bet you that he beats us out in spite of the weather. Come now. You're crazy. Perhaps. But here's a chance for you to get
Please.
square for that month's allowance you're going to be stung for. The others laughed, thinking that Hermione was having a little fun at her father's expense. As a matter of fact, She was having more than they realized. Your turn. Sorry. Yes. Oh yes, no problem. Thank you. Okay, sorry. Continue. Offshore sailors. Mm-hmm.
Apa itu? Mana sailor?
Never mind. Offshore sailors that they all were, Hermione was the only one who had thought of the mud hole route. So she also knows the same route that Applebow took, lah,
Uh-huh.
basically. But once having thought of it, she was certain that Applebow would avail himself of it. So she like, he probably knows. So she's like going to bet with her father. I bet you he's gonna be there. So in this case, it needed but a glance at the charts to show Hermione, herself a good practical sailor, how
Mhm.
tremendous an advantage it would give him. So she's like, whoa, he's probably like there way before us. So she knows the seas better than her own dad.
Yeah,
Let's go,
she's the
girl.
seaman. See,
Sea lady. Sea
um,
lady. Lady of the sea.
yes, yes, that was what I meant. Oh no,
Your
what
turn,
have
your
I
turn.
done?
Huh? Huh, said growled Belle.
Huh? Growled Belle. I can take a full bet like that. It's not within the bounds of nautical possibility. The little tub like that should have overhauled us through that head shop. Then that northwester was just our meat. All we could pack under our four lowers. What's the matter with you? All right, said Hermione coolly. Then take me on that odds. I'll give you 10 to 1 just to teach you a lesson, snapped her father. Done with
I
you,
love it.
$10 to 100. And Hermione made a note of the bet and compelled her father to sign it,
Let's
he
go.
muttering deep sea blessings. I think he was cursing.
Obviously, I think we all know he was cursing.
Wherefore one may
Grog
picture the
McBlundy.
scene which followed when, at about 4 of a lovely August afternoon, the shark came bowling into the little harbor of Marblehead to find the Daffodil lying serenely at anchor off the yacht club. For an instant, Belle was
How could he?
for an instant Belle was deprived of speech through sheer astonishment, not unmixed with awe. When they had last sighted the yawl off Cape Charles, she had still 60 miles to do against a strong tide before ever she fetched Old Point. By that time, the tide would have begun to flow again, so that by the time the Appleboy had learned their next port and taken the water and shores of which he must have been in need after more than a week at sea, he would have had another 30 miles of head, wind, and tide, or a 6 hour delay. Thereafter was to be considered the easterly blow. The thing was obviously impossible. Then,
Obviously.
like a flash, came the true solution. Bell slapped his fat thigh and let out a roar like a bull chocolate. That's it! By the
Chocolate.
jumping John Rogers, the scoundrel sneaked up inside. Of
Yeah,
course
he
he
sneaked up
did,
inside your daughter's hearts too.
cried Hermione. Why the dickens wouldn't he? That's the reason I made my bed.
You dumbass.
Bell went off like a badly made firework, and you have the nerve to expect me to pay a bet like that? When
Yes.
he tows behind a jackass for miles? Why not load his brood of a yawl on a flat car and be done with it? I would pay! I do! So loser! Oh, that's not the end, right? Okay. Oh, this is Hermione and her dad. And you have
Yeah.
to... and you have... Okay. Yes, you will, old boy, said Hermione. We bet on his being here, not on how he came. The
Let's
others sided with
go.
her. Belle appealed to Wood, counting on support from her son-in-law elect. You are stung, said the young man. All that you have got to do now is to pay up, which Belle did, lamenting
Nobody's on his side.
piteously. Tomorrow, said he.
Piteously.
Oh, piteously.
PTS, like PT. Yeah.
Tomorrow, said he, I must run into Boston to see the lawyers. The day after that, we make a run for Bermuda, or St. Paul, or Tristan da Cunha. I don't care where. But I'll lose the Yellow Crescent Gilliflower if I have to lead him through the Northwest Passage.
He's like, I need to find a way.
Your
Like he cannot follow me only one
Champasra.
way.
That night,
Only one way to go.
Huntington Wood invited his host and hostesses to dine at the yacht club. The place was
Ah,
very
of
gay.
course he did.
Oh, was very
Of course,
gay.
He has so much money to spend.
Spent on gay people. For
Being
although the
party.
yachting season was on its wane, the hot weather had helped and there were many yaks lying in the harbor. It was a lively room, a trifle more brilliant than select, as yachting contingents are apt to be, but rich in life and color and gaiety. Gaiety. The sharks were scarcely more than
You know,
seated
it
when
means happy. The old English.
uh, more than seated when Hermione, happening to glance toward the door, saw Harold up above. Woo! The pilot fish, she whispered. Appleball was quite alone. For a moment he stood in the doorway, sleepily surveying the
Oh,
room.
oh, oh my God, they see themselves on land. They
From
see each other
here
on
and
land.
there people at different tables caught sight of him, then whispered to their table companions, so that
Oh my
in
God,
that
oh my
moment,
God, he's so handsome.
brief
Oh my
as it
God.
was,
Who's that?
the
Who's that? Oh
poet
my God,
became
love
the
him.
focus of every pair of eyes in the room. Oh, really?
Oh my God, he's so strong. Oh my God. He's
One
so
might
tall.
have
Wow.
traveled far and failed to find so striking a figure. Applebo was in the regulation yachting costume for evening dress, the only eccentric feature being a somewhat voluminous black silk scarf of poetic or artistic pattern. His great mane of reddish yellow hair fell in a wavy mass, almost hiding his ears. His skin was clear as the water of the great. How can you look so clear and good
Yeah, right.
looking when you're not, when you don't
After
even
the ocean.
shower?
And you just the rain is on you and you're in a boat and it's like stressful. You don't even eat proper food, all dried foods all
I
the
think the author
time.
is actually a woman, going by the name Henry C. Rowland. This is very
Maybe
fanfic imagination. His
very
skin was
much.
the clear as the water of the great dismal swamp, and tanned to nearly the same tea color with its golden lights. And thick ivory would best describe its tone. The amber eyes, darkly fringed, blinked sleepily from table to table, as though looking for a vacant place. A peculiar silence had fallen on the room. Everybody was looking at Applebow, who, for his part, appeared as drowsily indifferent as a lion in the zoo. He was standing straight as a poplar, yet quite at
A type
ease
of
and with
tree. Yeah.
oh, with no hint of
Poplar is
stiffness
a tree.
or
Yeah.
self-consciousness. As
Hmm.
his slow scrutiny passed the table occupied by Wood and his party, it paused for a moment. He smiled and slightly inclined his head, then crossed the room and took a single table in a far corner.
Of
Oh,
course, he's just gonna slack in one corner, brooding. Oh my God, I'm so evil.
at Wood's table,
Nobody
which was in the
understands
center of the
me.
room, the captain was
Of
at
course.
one end, Paula at the other, Hermione facing the door, and Cecile and Wood directly confronting Applebow. Belle, as the poet entered, twisted about and gave him a goggle-eyed stare. "He's thinner," announced Belle with satisfaction. "A thundering sight thinner.
Of
Good-looking
course.
fool, ain't he? Huh?" He nodded at the others with the air of one discovering a new and surprising fact. If you were to cut his thatch and poke him up a little with a sharp stick, he might be even handsome. He began to gurgle. Lucille found it
Oh my
quite
God.
impossible to keep her eyes from Applebow. For as she did, she kept straying back. For his part, the poet was looking dreamily into space, and when his dinner arrived, it appeared
She's so in love with him.
to consist of a succession of melons, which he devoured one after the other, with infinite relish. Lucille estimated that he must have eaten at least six.
Why are you
Okay,
counting? Eat your
I
own dinner,
know.
woman.
Occasionally, he looked her way without appearing to see her. The melons were followed by snipe on toast. Ah, watermelon is it? Eat with
Snipe,
toast?
maybe watermelons, and then after that, snipe would be what type of fish? Maybe we have to Google
Ah,
that.
a considerable flock
Oh,
flew
snipe.
down the throat
Oh,
of the
flock. That means
poet.
it's type of bird. Sorry, it's
Oh,
a type of bird.
in in strange contradiction to his views on the killing of
Is it?
game.
Hmm.
From snipe,
Oh yeah, game.
Cecile
So it's a type of
observed
bird.
that his taste back around the compass to fish. Two fish were at their prime, and Mr. Applebow took advantage of the fact to quietly devour the best part of the amateur section of a big one. While he's eating a lot, this accomplished, he licked his lips, looked at Cecile, and blinked.
You?
All of this
Girl,
took
you staring. Girl, you staring
considerable
too much.
time, during which Cecile's eyes were so constantly seeking Applebow that her companions began to notice. Nobody said anything, however, until presently Hermione observed. Don't try to hypnotize him till he's finished eating, Cecile. Think how long the poor fellow must have been tin rations. The others laughed. Belle glanced at the poet. Help! Cried he. The chump is eating his dinner backward. He's on how's the boss now?
Orders, orders, orders,
Od
orders.
Odus? Oh,
Orders.
whatever lah. He's on food now. It was quite true. Miss Applebore, having caught sight of some anchovies at an adjoining table.
Basically, is the appetizer. So he ate the fruits first,
Uh-huh.
which is supposed to be like the dessert. So the melons are supposed to be dessert because it's sweet, right? So he ate the main course. Now he's eating his appetizers. So
and
his dinner is
conceived
backwards.
a relish for them. Artistan. Oh,
Wait,
yeah.
in spite of Hermione's remarks, Cecile found herself physically unable to keep her eye away from him. He fascinated her. Looking about the room, she saw that others shared in peculiar desire to stare at Applebow, who for his part was as
He's
utterly
like, stop
oblivious of
staring
those
at me. I'm
about
trying to have my dinner.
as if he had been in the cabin of his own. No, apparently he doesn't care. He's like, whatever. The man was
People will
so
stare.
strikingly singular. Cecile observed that he did not even sit at the table as did other folk. Oh my god, the way he sits is so. Oh my god, he's so different.
My God.
His back was arched like a bow, big shoulders hunched forward, chin thrust up so that the fringe of his long, shaggy mane swept below his coat collar, while his legs were bent under his chair, the toes hooked around the chair legs from inside out.
Cecile, stop
Though one could
staring at your
certainly
brother-in-law, eh?
find no fault with his appetite, he picked at his food in a curiously dainty way. This mannerism also suggested a cat, which animal, while never
Hmm.
appearing to eat, can get away with a prodigious amount of food. Occasionally he looked up and blinked about the room. There were several attractive men, all yachtsmen, straight backed, squarely set, good looking young chaps. But Cecile scarcely saw one of them. As the minutes passed and she continued to watch the poet, there began to develop within her the same peculiar obsession of which she had been
God.
the prey after her visit to the daffodil. So obsessed with him, oh my god.
Asan la pumpuan ni...
This time it was stronger and tinged with a warmer personal interest. At Halifax, All Point Comfort, and again that afternoon when the mail had come aboard, she had received an offering of verse. The Halifax poem, which had been mailed from Shoal Harbour, had impressed her deeply, less in its execution than in the thought conveyed, which was of intensity that thrilled her. The realization of the long sea miles which the little yawl had covered, the long sea watches which the man opposite must have spent, the fog, wind, rain, and calms, all of the details of an offshore voyage in a little shallop like the daffodil, merely to be near the object of his adoration, herself.
My God.
There was a medieval romanticism about this steadfast devotion which took powerful hold of the sentimental side of Cecile's nature. Before the dinner was half over, Applebow's attraction for her had reached a point where it appeared to monopolize her whole consciousness. She lost interest in her food, her conversation diminished, and what she said was abstracted. She was trying to get sufficient possession of herself to request wood, in a casual way, to bring the poet over to their table, but was almost afraid of betraying the state of her emotions. These were such as most girls experience during their first season, like when they're young. But she's like, "Oh my god, I'm 24 and still feeling these feelings." She
Mhm.
longed to hear the deep, resonant, purring voice,
Oh my
but felt
God.
that if he
Oh,
but felt that if he spoke to her, she would make herself ridiculous. Oh, if he spoke to me now, I'd get
I feel ridiculous reading this.
so wrong.
Udah, Hardy,
I would
jangan buat dialog
faint.
ni, Hardy.
Hermione, facing her, observed enough of the suppressed agitation to arouse her to an ironic amusement. Look at Cecile, said she. Tengok, orang tu. Alah. I warned her not to try to hypnotize the pilot fish. Now he has hypnotized her. Had Hermione known the actual state of her sister's feelings, she would never, of course, have thus cruelly directed the general attention upon her. Instead, however, she ascribed Cecile's schoolgirl manner to curiosity and the mistaken idea that she was the object of the pilot fish's assiduity. Consequently, she was a little startled at the sudden flame in her sister's cheeks and the resentment in her eyes when the others began to laugh. Ha 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 ha. Wow, she's so obsessed. Ha 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 ha. Cecile, for the moment, lost her poise. It's all very well to laugh, she said
Uh,
shrievaxedly. But if you had been bombarded by verse as I have by our friend yonder, you might exhibit a certain amount of curiosity also. Hermione's eyes opened very wide. She instantly understood the situation. Apropos then had been sending verses addressed to Miss Cecile Bell. So Hermione's putting the puzzle pieces together.
oh my
She's like,
god.
oh my god, my sister is like in love because of all the poetry. But that Cecile poem is actually not for Cecile, it's for her. Then she's like, oh shit. Hermione and most naturally appropriated by her sister. She was filled by a sudden gust of anger. Why are you angry? You didn't clarify this thing.
She
Captain
did,
Bell,
but
however, was
Appleball
like,
was like already swimming away.
no, as in she didn't, but she didn't clarify to her sister.
Oh, yeah, kan?
So now the sister thinks that that poem was for her, but it's actually for Hermione. So it's like, it's Hermione's fault for
Wala
not
to.
saying like, oh, by the way, this is what happened. You just say, oh, he kissed me. You just say, oh, by the way, he also thought I was a seal. Right? If I was your sister, I would tell you the whole story. I wouldn't just like leave it like that. Anyway, Captain Bell, however, was staring at Cecile. What's that? He demanded. Been sending you verses? Why? Confound his impudence. How long has he been doing that? I never heard of such cheek. And I'll go aboard his boat and tell him so. Oh, hush. As usual, the good captain had raised his voice to its quarter-deck pitch. There was no harm in his doing so. The verses are quite innocent, and some are rather pretty. It's merely his pose. Belle began to eat and grumble. He's like, huh? You sending my daughter love letters behind my back? What the hell? I don't approve. Belle began to eat and grumble, would laugh and glance at Paula. Hermione, hot with irritation, lost her interest in the entree. She wanted the verses which she knew had been meant for her, and in her mind she anathema, what is this word? Anathematize. Thematize. I think anathematize was right. The pilot fished for his fatuous blunder, Cecile for her self-complacency, and herself for being so silly as to let the man persist in his error as to her identity. You know what she should do? She should just get up and be like, "Oh, hello, my name is Hermione. That's my sister Cecile." Just say that, right? Like, just, just clarify. Or Wood can be like, "Okay, oh, hi, welcome. This is Paula. This is Cecile. This is Hermione." Like, he could have just clarified.
Oh.
You might let the rest of us see them, grumbled Belle. Hereafter, tack them up on the mainmast. Don't know, however, that I approve of my daughter receiving verses from a long-haired yellow tomcat. Nonsense, said Cecile sharply, and wishing that she had not spoken. Belle subsided, glad, and savagely crunched the leg of a sorrow rail. His eyes passed to Hermione. Bless my soul, he cried. I believe Hermione's jealous. Look at the jade. Hermione was jealous. Her vivid cheeks and sapphire eyes showed it. She's like, that's my letter. It's my poem. But more than being jealous, she was irritated and disgusted as well at the whole absurd situation. She determined to abolish the poet as a pilot fish, and that before she was 12 hours older. Abolish the poet as... Huh? What's this sentence? She determined to abolish the poet as a pilot fish, and that before she was 12 hours older. I have no idea what that means. And she doesn't want him anymore? I'm not sure. Or maybe, to explain to him, hey, by the way, my name's Hermione. I don't know. Your turn.
Matters were in this nervous oh, matters were in this nervous state when Applebow, having made his dessert of a plate of soup,
Terbalik, terbalik.
aro- arose suddenly and made his graceful and light-footed way toward the door. For a man of his size and weight, he moved like a dancer. As he passed Wood's party, he bowed with a quick, flashing smile. Belle, who was gobbling a filet au coeur d'artichoke,
Filling it
Appeal,
with artichoke.
I
Artichoke, maybe?
guess, looked after him with a sort of resentful admiration. Whoa. Being short and fat and red and formerly black haired, he found much to admire in the physical appearance of Appleball.
Oh my god, even that is like, yeah, he's hot.
Not a bad looking chap, said he grudgingly. Looks rather as I should think Hellstrom might have looked when he was a youngster. Hermione looked
No, your gay
startled.
wife.
She had never thought of it before, but what her father's keen eyes had discovered was quite true. There was a great deal about
Oh my god,
Appleboy
what
that
if he's actually
suggested
his son?
Hellstrom, and the voices of the two men were identical, barring the huskiness which many years
Oh.
of throated commands had put into the tones of Hellstrom. Maybe Appleboy is Hellstrom, unknown
Mm.
child, a secret child he never knew.
And then okay, so remember how at the start, Cecile was telling Hellstrom like, "I wanna marry a man who's like you."
uh
So this is like the man who's like Hellstrom, Appleboy.
So suspicious. Belle glanced around the table. What do you all say to Bermuda? He asked. It ain't the season, of course, but it would be rather good fun to see it if it the habis din. That time of year, said Hermione, there's always a West Indian hurricane in August or September. Can't freeze us, said Belle. It might freeze the pilotfish, said Paula. Suppose anything were to happen to him. There won't. He knows
Paula is
his
so nice.
business. There's a lot more danger on the coast than offshore anyway. If he follows us there, I'll own myself outclassed. What do you say? Bermuda, sir, answered Cecile, leaning forward on the table, her eyes very bright. Belle looked at Hermione. Bermuda, she said, with a peculiar little smile. Paula. Oh, Paula doesn't count. She's too much in love. Yee, Bermuda, Buenos Aires, Hoboken. They all look alike to her. Would? Oh, Bermuda, Buenos Aires, Hoboken. They all look alike to her. Would? Oh my god. Oh my god. Bapak dia pun Connie. I
Anywhere as
like.
long as I'm with my lover.
Bermuda. I know a lot. I know of lots of things more to worry about than Harold. Bermuda it is then. Belle raises glass of champagne. Bapa din ni Jahano. Here she goes south, the shark and the daffodil. Bottoms down, cried the laughing chorus. Chapter 12. Are we finishing chapter 12 tonight?
I don't know. We started at 10, right? So 10, 11, 12. So
Tapi
this is
belum
the third
sampai,
chapter?
belum lagi jam, 2 jam aja. Wala kali.
Okay,
Back
we can do.
aboard the shark,
Hmm.
Paula and Huntington did what Hermione called their wonderful disappearing act. Eh? Huh?
You know, the secret
Huh?
places, the secret parts of the ship.
Ah!
I mean, they're already
Jangan!
engaged to be
Oh my
married, I
god, my
guess.
brain! Oh my god, my brain! Wala, Huntington ni aduh nakal ah. Belle had lingered in the club to play poker, at which he was very good, really, and to drink whiskey and soda, of which he stood in no need. Cecile retired, and Hermione went into the saloon, where she sat at a gravity writing table, and after destroying some dozen or more sheets of expensive note paper with the shark's insignia, she gave up her task in disgust and went to her room.
I think she probably wanted to write back and be like, hey, by the
I
way, I'm
know.
so sorry. I lied.
Not being in the least sleepy, she curled up in a heap of cushions and tried to interest herself in a French play, but meeting with no success. She flung aside the pamphlet, one of the illustration supplements, and gave herself up to a topic which so occupied her mind. Needless to say, this was Rappable. Unlike Cecile's meditations, which were apt to be self-indulgent, pleasant, and profitless, those of Hermione were swift, ruthless, and followed by prompt and decisive action. Half an hour of concentrated thought that she had extracted from her reflections three opinions and a resolve. Of these opinions, the first was that Applebow was in love with nobody but himself and his muse,
Interesting.
that he found the situation piquant and amusing, and was having just as much fun out of it as were the sharks, which was saying a good deal. The second option was that she, Hermione, had been
Option,
very
opinion.
violently and dangerously attracted by the peculiar personality of Mr. Applebow, but that she had thoroughly overcome it. So, as I see what you
Smart.
mean. What is SIC?
etc. I guess.
Huh?
I think. Hold on. Let me Google it. SIC acronym. Acronym meaning. Thus. THUS.
Oh,
Thus. Therefore,
oh.
Therefore.
The third opinion was that Cecile was also violently and dangerously attracted by the peculiar personality of Mr. Applebow and was very far from being over it. At this point, Hermione is like the, the
The
it's like
smartest
it's
puzzle
like
piece.
us watching everything unfold. And
She's
the
like, I
result
figured it
was
out.
that she would write to Mr. Applebow to say that they had come enough of him and would be kindly clear out. Action always followed hot on the heels of Hermione's resolutions. She was a mature-minded girl, true, and found no uh, and found no difficulty
Mm-hmm.
in crystallizing her thought into
Was
words.
19 years old though.
I mean, she wasn't mature
Technically
when she
19,
went to
20.
kill the
Mm.
birds, though.
Yeah.
She's like, "I'm
I
gonna
mean, to
kill
be
you."
fair, she was quite, mature in the sense that she's able to take life,
Boleh lah, boleh
and
lah.
no remorse. She felt sad afterwards.
Criticizing her thoughts again. This was no doubt because her thought was a saturated solution and not the dilute, strained out, indecisive brain mush of so many of us. Uh, uh, tsaka, is this book uh, t-
Yeah. Yep.
talking about me?
Yep.
Anjing!
Yeah.
Dia mengejek saya!
Yep.
Oh, wow! Oh, I'm lesser than a
This sus,
Hermione
man. This
whipped
sus.
up her writing pad and indited swiftly the following. Dear Mr. Applebow, permit me to compliment you upon the able way in which you have demonstrated your admirable seamanship. It must be, and no doubt is, a sourceful of great satisfaction to you to prove to us your capacities. That will cheer him up if he has one grain of modesty, thought Hermione. I must tell you, however, that in the opinion of some of us aboard the Shark, the game has now gone quite far enough. We acknowledge your ability to cope with our vessel in soundings or out of them. My father is planning to sail for Bermuda in 2 days, and I must request that you do not follow us. Your somewhat peculiar constancy is beginning to excite a little comment outside our immediate circle, and I think it better in many ways that it should be discontinued. My father is inclined to resent your sending verses to my sister Cecile, and perhaps it would be better to discontinue this attention also. Sincerely yours, Hermione Esther Bell. I this is still would be still confusing to him. He thinks that Cecile. Saya pula confused. Now I'm confused. Artista lah. Saya confused.
Thought Hermione, having completed this hasty epistle. There, something tells me that he will read this and curl up his 6 feet 2 in a manner to arouse the envy of a chestnut worm. So she
Oh
said,
my
I
god.
hope he feels the cringe and goes away. This heartless episode achieved, Hermione decided for bed. But after undressing and snapping off her light, for the shark had a dynamo, she found herself still wakeful. Wherefore she re-illuminated and attacked the French play with greater interest, other preoccupations being disposed of. This play was one which, had her mother been alive, Hermione would never have been permitted to read. It's a sassy story. But the maternal vigilance of a Norwegian sailor man can hardly be expected to ransack the lockers of a 19-year-old young lady's. Wherefore Hermione was perusing a somewhat tarnished story with her red lip contemptuously curled, when the little ship's clock in the saloon rang sharply 4 bells, 4 a.m. Oh my god, girl. She's reading smut at 4 a.m. Hermione shoved the play through her porthole and was about to try for sleep again when she heard a rustling outside her door. Hermione, said a low voice, which she recognized as Cecile's. Yes? The door opened and Cecile came in. Hermione, glancing with surprise at her sister, was startled at Cecile's pale and tragic beauty. Her shimmering hair was drawn severely back from her broad, low forehead and hung in two heavy braids well below her waist. Her grey eyes, with their dark encircling lashes, were like stars, but ringed about in a way that alarmed Hermione. Cecile wore her white embroidered kimono, which hung straight from her shoulders like the sacrificial robe of a Druidess. There was a bright red spot in either cheek, and her bosom was rising and falling rapidly. Cecile reminded Hermione of Goethe's Bride of Corinth, that is, in appearance. Cecile, she cried, what's the matter? Are you ill? The colour flooded the face of Cecile. I'm off my head, I think, she answered. I can't sleep, I can't think, I don't seem to belong to myself. She's so in love with him. Cecile! Hermione crossed the room and dropped on the transom beside her sister, who had sunk down among the cushions. What is it, dear? Cecile caught her breath and choked back a sob. Tenderness in Hermione touched her, where in Paula she would have thought nothing of it. She pressed her hands over her eyes, then dropped both arms and looked intently at her sister. Hermione, she said, are you in love with Harold Applebow? Hermione turned to her in a very startled face. No, she answered emphatically. Are you sure? Of course I am. I never met him but once in my life. Just had a kiss, that one kiss.
God.
Nor I, answered Cecile and sprang to her feet. But I'm madly, insanely, desperately in love with him. It's silly, I know, it's unreasonable and unmaidenly, anything you like. But I can't think of anything but this man. What is it, Hermione? Am I crazy? She turned to her sister with a half sob. Hermione saw that Cecile's hands were clenched so tightly as to drive the fingernails into the delicate skin. Her face was colourless except for two crimson spots on either cheek and the red line of her lips. Hermione was not only startled but tremendously surprised. She had always thought rather contemptuously of Cecile's possible capacity for deep feeling, and rather pityingly of Paula's, ultimately concluding that she, Hermione, was blessed or cursed with all that there was in the family. But my dear, cried Hermione, you never spoke to him but once. I know it, replied Cecile wearily. I'm a crazy fool. It's quite shameless of me, is it not? She gave a bitter little laugh. That man has put a spell on me. I can't close my eyes without seeing that yellow mane and those sleepy amber eyes. And they are not so sleepy either, when you look closely. It's a possession. Oh, what am I to do? And the worst of it is, I know that he has some sort of tender sentiment for me. Oh, why doesn't he come over here and say so instead of keeping me on pins and needles with his everlasting verses? So Hermione is like, preach sister, I've been there. I
Oh.
also know what it's like. Hermione looked thoughtfully at her sister. For an instant, she was on the point of telling Cecile bluntly that the verses were actually intended for herself. Actually, it's not you, lah, it's for me. But she was quite aware of her sister's unconscious vanity and felt that to do so would arouse her undying resentment. So she merely asked, do you really care for him, or is it only a sort of infatuation? So far, I don't see how it can be more than infatuation. I only met the guy once, right? Replied Cecile, frankly. But I think that I might easily care, and care a great deal, when I came to know him. You can scarcely be said to be in love with a person you don't know. As it is, I sometimes feel as if I hated him. It's not even an infatuation. I'm fascinated, I suppose, as you sometimes see a bird fascinated by a cat. There's something about his lazy, indifferent, cat-like look and manner that makes me feel at times like whacking him. She laughed nervously. I feel like I just want to hit that guy. she's like, remember at first she was like, I want to bite him. Now she's like, want to smack him. I mean, it's kind of normal, no? But you smack your significant other.
Cemana, Kak? Dia jauh. My significant other's jauh.
But sometimes you feel like, oh, geram ini.
Tidak juga, never. I did well,
Really?
nearly
Okay.
went into a fist fight with an ex though.
Oh, for me, it's like I usually like put my partner in like a headlock with my arm because I'm slightly taller than him, so
Of
I just
course,
like
we kena
headlock him.
tekan kena ties kan. It's like, oh, squeeze me more. Ooh.
I just like
Suffocate
lock him in
me.
in my elbow. Then he's like,
What?
ha 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 ha. Because he says stupid shit sometimes. Okay.
He says
Hermione
stupid.
wrinkled her forehead. You know, like for example, for example, like let's say I'm on my like period or whatever, right? And
Hmm?
I'm like moody AF, and then he's like, and then I'll be like, oh man, I feel like I'm very like I tell him like I feel very like masculine and harsh today. I always like I have a very short fuse today, so I apologize. I was like, I'm so sorry if I like have a short fuse or I don't answer you properly, blah blah blah, or I don't engage in conversation. So I apologize if like our date doesn't go well, in a sense. And then and then I'm like, but you love me, right? You love me in all my different forms, right? All my different phases. And then he'll be like, mm-hmm. Or he won't say anything, he just look at me and I'm like, then I'm like headlock him like, say it that you love me. Then he's like, I don't have to say it, you already know. No, say it. Yeah. So, violence. Anyway. Say something, Cheryl. Cheryl, what happened to your mic? Cheryl,
Ano? Terdengar.
Cheryl, what?
I was
You,
like,
you understand?
Well, I've never had this before. I used to have a fist fight with an ex. Not used to have, nearly.
mm, mm.
Most of my
But
relationships were like
mm,
long distance, so I never had that kind of
that
interaction.
physical
Yeah.
interactions. I feel like because I've been with my partner for so long, it's almost macam like siblings kind of
Huh?
energy.
Incest? Oh my god!
You know. No,
Helen!
but it's like the like you
That's a
age it
weird
kind of.
way to put it. You should
But it
say he's
is.
like
It's like
family.
you
We're
just
basically
tease. Yeah,
family. We're
family vibes.
married but
Family.
not married. Yeah, tsaka na
Yeah,
tsaka,
yeah.
but I was like, oh. So you will marry your brother, okay?
No, 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 no. Energy, sibling energy, but not actual siblings. Just the
Sometimes I
energy.
heard that like if you like with someone for
Mm.
so long, they'll think that you must be like what you soulmates because you kind of will see you like kind of like look similar to each other or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That
Do you?
happens, man. I think so. It's because it's that you go to different, like you go to the same places, right? Like you eat the same food. I guess I don't know.
I never believe in that because like most of my exes when people
Mm.
they're like, oh, you and him, because they usually see me together like with an ex
You know
that
when
live in my
you
area.
yes, you exchange DNA in your saliva. Ooh.
No, but they say like, guys, I think you guys are meant to be. They say like that. You guys kind of look like each other,
Uh,
and I was like, I look at my ex, and I'm like, oh no, he looks more, not Chinese, maybe more. I don't
uh,
know if you know this ethnicity, Dusun, more Dusun.
mm.
I look more me.
I look more me.
I look more
No,
me.
I can't explain it. It's just me.
Yeah. Where
Uh,
did you stop reading?
where did I stop? Where did I stop?
Is it like?
Hermione wrinkled her forehead, right, and contemplated her sister in deep thought. Cecile watched her in that confident anxiety with which a patient might regard a very young but very intelligent physician who had just been put in possession of a history of the case. In force of character and what is commonly called strength, Hermione was easily the senior of the three sisters, for all of her trifling 19 years of inexperience. Besides her natural intelligence, Hermione had a good deal of theoretic knowledge of the world, its men and women, and the psychology of love from the reading of books written by folk who should have understood their subject, and had frequently obtained this knowledge at a considerable price. Wherefore, after a few moments of thought, she observed, with all the aplomb of 40 years, so she's like 19, but then she's talking like she's 40 years old.
My God.
When a girl feels, as you do, toward a man with whom she is not really in love, it is time that he was told to clear out. Once removed from your life, you would very quickly get over it. Cecile looked dissatisfied. But I'm not sure at all that I want him out of my life, she said. I would rather prefer that he came into it. The trouble is, he does neither the one thing nor the other. Have you a clear idea of what you do want? Asked Hermione. No, I have. What you would like would be to keep him dangling about, to be ultimately reduced to the same pulpy substance into which you have converted so many others. It can't be done. He's a different breed of cat. Your turn.
uh, where did? Oh, cat. Cecile shivered. Uncle Chris told me one day that this would happen to me, she sighed. What shall I do, Hermione? Nothing, said Hermione. Leave it to me. To you? Yes, I will settle the matter. Hermione's pretty mouth assumed the austerity of a school marm's. What will you do? I'll request his resignation. You think that he will be do you think that he will obey? Of course. He is a gentleman, and he has assured us right along that whenever he got tired of him, we had only to say the word. I will say it. Cecile looked at her sister doubtfully. Hermione, returning the glance, observed that Cecile's eyelids were heavy. It was evident that she was feeling the reaction of her outburst and would now sleep. The recital of her woes had relieved the pressure within, but she was not entirely content with Hermione's solution. Do you think that he is in love with me, Hermione? She asked with an odd shyness. No, he's not in love with you. He's just like, is it? Is
He's a
he in?
cheater.
Yeah, he's a cheater without even knowing he's a cheater. No, he is in love with nobody but himself. This thing amuses him. He is a natural born seafarer with a soft streak in him, and nothing pleases him more than to sail round and lead a hard life and write mushy verse. He sent me fathoms of the same sort of harmless slush before transferring his delicate attentions to you. I chucked them back at him. Now go to bed. Hey, she just said she didn't tell the truth, right?
Hmm.
Cecile arose warily. I knew that he had sent you verses, she said,
Uh-oh.
but I thought that maybe he had got our names mixed. What?
Wait, hold on. But he did, right? So
Yeah,
technically that
yeah.
is true.
She's not.
He did get it success.
I mean, like, if she lift, in my head, like, if Hermione knew that Cecile was correct, like, got their names mixed up, then Hermione wouldn't have, like, jagahati kakatiya ka pa.
No, 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 no. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Okay. So Cecile thinks that the pilot fish wrote to Hermione, right?
Thinking
Wrote the name
Hermione is Cecile.
Hermione, thinking Hermione is Cecile, right? But because
Hmm?
remember the first poem he wrote, he said the grey eyes, right?
Huh?
Cecile has grey eyes, right?
Yeah. Oh,
So he's calling Cecile Hermione,
wait,
right? But
wait,
now
wait.
Cecile is thinking that he finally got the correct name is what she's saying. He had got the names mixed up at first, but now the latest letter he got the right name because in the latest letter she went to see him. Remember with the dad?
But he didn't
So
know who
she's
she
thinking that.
is, though. He still thought
But that's the thing.
Hermione is Cecile.
In her yeah, because in her mind she didn't remember what
Oh, yeah, yeah,
happened
yeah.
on the boat. She had introduced. Oh, hello, I'm Sissy. Like maybe that didn't. Like she assumed that after that boat meeting he would know who she actually was lah. But turns out she never said the name, and then even her father also never said her name. So technically, he still doesn't know who she is.
Bodoh lah po.
Sorry.
Ni ko ni...
So she, so basically, Cecile is not as sharp as Hermione, right?
Cecile ni
She's not
pun
as smart.
bodoh juga.
She says got it. Yeah.
ah,
Okay. Anyway.
ah, ah. Saya pula sakit kepala.
Okay.
The
Because she's probably
irony
really
of
tired
this
after sleeping.
almost extorted a true statement of the case from Hermione. But she saw that Cecile had plainly had enough emotion for one seance. Go to bed, dear, said she. It's nearly 5 bells. Papa must be making a night of it. You will sleep now, I'm sure. So it's late at night.
So basically, Hermione could have clarified, but I think it's a bit too late. So she's like, okay, I'll give you tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'll clarify what just happened.
She was like, okay.
You're not
Cecile
getting the full
kissed her.
picture.
Ooh, kissed. Ooh. Okay. Cecile
Sister lah,
kissed her,
sister.
then drifted like a very lovely and dishev- disheveled, dishev-
Shovel,
disheveled,
like shelf, yeah.
disheveled, ah,
You got it, you
ghost.
got it. That was perfect. That was perfect. Yeah,
Disheveled.
yeah, that was correct.
I never said this word in the past tense. The shelf. That's all I ever said. Disheveled goes out into the dim lit corridor. A few hours later, when Hermione went on deck for a morning row, the fog was so dense that it gave her an impression of being underwater, and very soapy water at that. Elstrom, who never appeared to sleep, greeted her with a shake of the head. Not this morning, young lady, he. Go back to bed. Oh, please, begged Hermione. I love to row around in the fog. Elstrom assumed an expression of severity. And I love
Oi, oi,
not to
oi.
have you, said he. But if you row straight out to sea and keep on growing, what would your father say to me for losing their skiff? Hermione laughed.
Not losing the daughter, right? Not losing the daughter, losing the
Itulah
boat.
tuh bang. Dia bilang, kau hilang tak apa. Botu ko kasih balik. You are not very flattering to yourself as a teacher, Uncle Chris, said she. If I were to do a landlubber trick like that, I deserve to get lost. What do you take me for, Sunday picnicker? Give me a dory compass. Compass. Elstrom was evidently shaken. He took tremendous pride in Hermione's nautical abilities. You are forever saying that I'm a better sailor than anybody aboard, said Hermione. Now prove it. You have sent a dinghy ashore. She glanced at the boat boom. Elstrom grinned. That proves nothing. If a squarehead gets lost, who gives a hang? There are plenty more, and dinghies too. But there is only one Hermione in all the
Aww.
world. Oh!
Aww.
Aya! Papa! Uncle! Mother!
Mother.
Hermione saw that the old sailor was weakening fast. Slipped to his side. She slipped to his side, threw one arm over his shoulder, and raising herself on tiptoes, dropped a light kiss on the weather-beaten cheek. Oh, ka anak, cheeky.
She's so smart.
Please, Uncle Chris, she
She learned from
whispered,
Cecile.
or I'll think that all you say about my seamanship is just a bluff. Christian Hellstrom threw up his great arms like a drowning man. By Jingo, growled he. What's the use? Take your boat. Take all the boats.
Kesian your email.
He turned to the grinning and delighted quartermaster. Miss Hermione's skiff, said he gruffly. He himself placed the door compass in the stern sheets. The landing bears southeast by south, said Hellstrom. So we bear from the landing. Or from the landing, what? Northeast by north, said Hermione with a laugh. Would you like to hear me say my letters? You try to
Oh,
sass me?
oh.
Letters like
You know what she's
ABC?
doing?
What, no?
No, no. She's copying her accent. His accent. Not is, but
Pagampang!
you want me to say northeast, right? You want me to say properly.
You try to sass me? When you hear dong 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 steady like this on the ship's bell, that is we. And when you hear bang and a square foot of paint off the ship's side, laughed Hermione, that am I. Off with you, growled Hellstrom and made a feint to dash at her. Ih, budali!
Yeah.
Oo, hindi main-main. Orang serious. Hermione's light oars took the water and her laugh came back, merry though muffled as she slipped like a wraith into the fog. There was really no danger, as traffic was at a standstill and no one could tell by the swell when opposite an entrance leading out to sea. Our artisten.
Hermione was wearing a green flannel shirtwaist and a green plaid homespun skirt,
Pakailas
hunting
luar
green
de.
in deep shades of crimson. At the time, girls don't wear pants. They wear pants under the skirt. They still wear the skirt. Because, women. Patriarchy. Shades of crimson were Hermione's colors, just as the yellow tones belonged to Applebow. This morning, her color scheme extended even to her tam, while the reflection of the drab grey water in her violet eyes did its best to carry out the prevailing tone. The only alien note was the crimson ribbon, wound like a fillet about her black hair, which she wore twisted around her pretty head as tightly as she could draw it. So dense was the fog that Hermione rowed slowly, fearful of bumping some of the many craft at anchor. From time to time she glanced at a compass, and occasionally she twisted about on the thwart and tried to pierce the opacity which appeared to hang like a soft, fleecy blanket directly before the bow of her skiff. Once she heard the chug chug of a motorboat, apparently approaching, but at her musical hail, "Hello, Sean," it sheared off and she heard voices talking loudly against the din of the engine. If I don't look out, thought Hermione, I will run slap into the daffodil. She's hung up squarely in my course to the landing. Like you, like you didn't want to go there in the first place. Sus. Hermione is so sus. At the thought of this possibility, it occurred to Hermione that were she to run onto the yawl, she might leave her note in person, with perhaps a few supplementary words. This practical idea, okay, honestly, it's she should not do this. She's a woman. At the time, it is very inappropriate for you to go to a dude's boat alone, unattended. It's not very ladylike, woman. This practical idea, while not particularly discreet, gave her a decided thrill. The heavy fog would prevent her call from being observed, and in any case, she would conduct the interview from her skiff. So she says she's not going to go onto the boat, she's just going to stand there and be like, hey, oi, take this letter. Wherefore, when Hermione estimated that she must be very close aboard the yawl, she rested on her oars and tried to stare into the enveloping fog. There was not a breath of air, and the moisture was not chill, but warm and humid like steam. It was so thick as to be almost palpable, following any motion in swirls and making one's breathing slightly laborious. The little harbour was full of yachts, and from all sides there came to the girl's ears the muffled and random sounds of the floating community. A snatch of song, the creak and whine of blocks, the splash of a packing box most slovenly thrown overboard, a laugh, the chunk of the chunk of oars, and the hail of a voice calling out to locate the vessel sought. Hermione felt herself to be in a mystic, sightless, and elusive world. She altered her course slightly and took a dozen strokes, then rested again, then rested again. Okay, so she was looking and listening when suddenly, out of the fog and spoken almost in her ear, there came a resonant bass, which announced to any who might wish to hear. Her eyes are blue as the violets here, or is her? Her voice is a carol of bliss. Her teeth are pearls from the deep sea walls. Her mouth is the throne of a kiss.
Wow.
Ooh. To take her hand is to sudden changing of the recitative tone. To oh damn it. What is it to take a hand? Hanged if I haven't forgot. Hand, sand, fan, land, damned? Oh poison. What is it to take a hand? Fresh, cheeky, presumptuous, and undesired, supplied Hermione, invisible in the fog. You might take her painter, though, if you don't mind interrupting the lecture in anatomy. There we go, your turn.
She heard a gasp and the sound of something which evidently dropped upon the deck, then bounced overboard, for there was a tiny splash. Oh! He dropped his pen,
Oh,
he dropped
something.
his pen.
Yep.
Oh, whap! Wet as pussy? That
Oh
song.
no.
Complained the. It would be funny if the song played on my stream right now. Complained the
Indeed.
resonant voice. There goes my fountain pen. The tone changed to one of invocation. Cecile, is it thou or thy spirit out there in the mist? Neither, snapped Hermione. Look
At least
out.
now she's saying it's not Cecile
Mhm.
anymore.
The high freeboard of the yawl rose suddenly before her bow. She held water in with one oar, and the skiff came rubbing gently alongside. There was the scuffle of feet above her, and Hermione glanced up to see a figure in flannels and sweater looming titanous through the white fog. "Cecile," said the rich voice. "Take the painter,"
Pila.
replied Hermione. "No,
Painter
I'm
is like
not."
the letter.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, I'm not going aboard. It would be stretching my elastic conventionality to part with a young man aboard his boat at
Very smart. You're not
7:30
supposed to be doing
of a
that.
foggy morning. I have a note for you and a few words to add to it. What if, like, he thought that Hermione sent quote unquote Cecile to send the letter to him?
I don't know. At this point, I don't know anymore.
Yeah, this is getting complicated.
At this
Apo
point, it's crazy.
Apobo caught a turn with the painter and dropped into a primitive, crouching position on the yawl's deck. Hermione observed that his face had
Mhm.
assumed its sleepy look, while the voice took on the lazy drawl which she so well remembered. His eyes, which looked yellower than ever, ah, the sea, the seagull than ever in the colorless fog, blinked at Hermione almost with appreciation. Their swift scrutiny passed from her green tam to her costume of the same color, vivid against the white mist. "You look like an emerald packed in cotton," he observed. Ew!
Elliot.
Always a poet. Am I all green? No, you're set with rubies, coral, and a pair of rare sapphires. To fancy
Your
you're being
eyes.
poet,
Ooh.
to fancy you're being poetic also. You seem to be such a practical maid. I don't know whether I am glad or sorry. What are you talking about? Your vistas, of course. I wear them here. He laid his hand over his heart. Just at this moment, however, they are below. Unfortunately, a sweater has no pockets. I was deeply touched, Cecile, and have already mailed you the answer. But if you
Oh my
do not
god.
mind, I might point out certain technical errors. What are you driving at anyway? Hermione
Oh,
demanded.
because she's talking about the letter that he sent to Cecile.
Uh,
So, oh, sorry, I want to edit some things.
don't be picked. Art should come before personal vanity. There are a few errors of a trifling sort. That is nothing. I make them myself, but there are also one or two eh, banal, banal, banality,
Banalities.
ban, mm,
Banalities.
banality,
Banana? Banalities.
banalities.
Mm-hmm.
Let me point them out. I'm sure that you will agree with me. Potola. Applebow plunged into his companionway, leaving Hermione completely mystified. A moment later he emerged, holding a piece of notepaper which Hermione was quick to recognize as the shark's. To her amazement and disgust, she saw that this was covered by Cecile's stylish penmanship.
Oh.
I will read it through, said Applebow, and then point out to you what I mean. Yep. In his deep, sonorous voice, he proceeded to read as follows: To a pilot fish, the billows flee from the shriek
Oh,
of the wind,
Cecile wrote a poem to him. Oh
and
my
the
god.
scud from the
She's so
lash of
crazy.
the gale.
She's in love.
But the shark swims away and not behind, but one poor little tossing sail. Tell me, surges ere you go, should a pilot fish be treated so? The skyline darkens as night draws near. From the sea strikes the east wind's chill. For the sturdy shark there is naught to fear, but how for the daffodil? Tell me, moon, from your heights above, sails the daffodil to the port of love? Is it for love that my Viking rows, or doth he
Oh
despise
my
the
god.
shore? Shall we meet in the port of missing loves, or shall we meet no more? Tell me, breezes, ere you part, can true love warm a fish's heart?
Oh my
You mean to
goodness.
tell me, cried Hermione, that Cecile actually wrote and sent you that slush? Eh? What? Appleboy peered suddenly out of his habitual repose, his yellow eyes opened very wide. What do you mean, Cecile? Oh, cried Hermione, you make me sick, both of you. If possible, you make me sicker, because you began the whole silly business. In the first place, if you must pose as an as an enamoured swain and bombard innocent folk with sickening slop, why don't you take the trouble to recognize your enamorada when you see her? I am not Cecile. I never was Cecile. Cecile is my sister, the one who went with Papa to thank you for helping me. I am Hermione.
Let's go.
Okay,
Finally, we
finally,
set this up.
finally,
Thank freaking.
we've
How many chapters
waited
in? 12
12
chapters.
chapters.
Oh my god.
Applebow stared and his lean jaw dropped. Awful! He has a different expression! He
Finally.
sank into a sort of heap upon the dripping deck. Mouth and eyes were generously opened, and he stared at the angry beauty in the boat with an expression of such utter imbecility that Hermione lost her temper. She wished that Cecile could have seen him. You look like a fool, she snapped.
You are a fool. He is a fool.
Applebow gulped and shut his mouth. I have the perfect right, he answered sepulchrally, but why didn't you tell me? Hermione's chin went into the air. I suppose that when you told me in your naive way that you were in love with Hermione, I should have put my finger in my mouth, dropped my shy head, plucked bashfully at the hem of my high water bathing skirt, and murmured, I am it! Appleborough groaned as one in pain. Do you mind if I say what I think of myself? He asked. Not in the least. I might even help. I am a blithering ass, idiot, fool, dolt, imbecile, chump,
Yes.
ninny lump, and I ought to put my head in a bag and jump overboard. A hydrocephalic child cutting up paper dolls on the floor of an asylum is a font of intelligence compared to me. Wow, wow, self-degrading much? You are
Oh
letting
my
yourself off
gosh.
easily. Observe my oh, you're selling yourself short. I have better.
Better insults for you.
I shall die of this, and so your sister must have been receiving the verses intended for you. Every male adds their vocabulary of soul talk, replied Hermione. Applebow looked very ill.
Yeah.
All of the
Because
feline
now the wrong
drowsiness
sister is in love with you. Yeah.
all of the feline drowsiness had been swept from his face, leaving it of an actually human intelligence.
He's like, oh my, that's a dada. That's a dada.
I shall never write
Astaghfirullah.
another poem, said he with solemnity. When you talk like that, said Hermione, you make me believe that there is still hope for you. But there is still more that you must do. That is why I'm here. What must I do? Asked Applebow hopefully. I promise to do it. Not following us about. The face of the poet fell. For a moment he regarded Hermione in gloomy silence. Bad as that? He asked. Very well. I have promised. I will start for New York as soon as the weather clears. Lay up the daffodil and go into outlawry. Outlawry? What is this? What is it? Is it occupation?
He became being outlaw, I guess. Pew pew.
Bang!
I don't know.
Kamu jadi outlaw?
I guess
Apple
he
mo?
doesn't write. He doesn't want
Oh
to write anymore. He's like, I'm gonna be Wild Wild West. Let's go.
my god. Itu lebih-lebih bang. Jangan begitu. Perhaps later, when I
You've been
have done my
rejected.
penance, you may graciously permit me to meet your charming family in the conventional way. He looked at her eagerly. Hermione dropped her eyes. I will consider it, she answered.
I'll consider it fine.
Are you
In a
offended?
normal way.
Are you offended with me? Asked Applebow. Not offended, exactly, said Hermione, looking at him frankly. But you have made an awful lot of trouble. Poor Cecile thinks that you are madly in love with her. Of course, she does not return the sentiment, but it has worked on her romantic sensibilities apparently to the point of inspiring the stuff that you just read. When she finds out that your delicate attentions were intended all of the time for my humble self, I'm sure I don't know what will happen. Appleboy stared at her wildly. Good heavens, he gasped. Then she must never know. Oh, what an awful news. That's what I was saying.
Oh, that's what we're saying. It's
Hermione, watching him
terrible.
with more intense intentness than her supercil- than her
Supercilious.
supercilious expression betrayed,
Mhm.
saw an entirely new and unknown Applebow. Yeah, because he suddenly make a new expression now.
Because suddenly he's like, because at first he's like, oh, chill, bro, we just vibing. Now he's
now,
like, oh
now
shit. Oh
human.
shit.
All the indolent post was swept away in the rush of sincere
Mhm.
and honest regret for what had occurred. The poet, thus revealed in his true nature, became a very normal and penitent young man. Wait, I wanna burp. Alhamdulillah. Hermione was conscious of a sudden rush of liking for
Ya
him.
Allah, another
He
one.
was so sincerely sorry. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not his fault, I should.
It's your fault,
Oh my god,
You could
stop
have just
excusing the
screwed
man.
it up from the start.
Artist turn.
What shall I do? He asked. Simply clear out. That's the hardest of all. Perhaps if I were to go over and meet your sister and let her see what an ordinary, everyday sort of ass I am, it might do some good. I'll do whatever you tell me to. She already told you. She already told you what to do. Why are you trying to meet the sister? Don't she know it's gonna make it even worse? Hermione gave him a pitying smile. You need not feel so tragic about it, said she. Cecile does not really care, of course. She watched him narrowly. Applebow's face expressed relief. Of course she doesn't, he replied. I can see just how it is. She was rather taken by the romantic idea of my rotting around in the wet just to be near. Her verses show it. Or maybe she was just trying to get a rise out of me, he added, most unpoetically. No, said Hermione. She was a little touched. It will do her no harm and might even do her some good. She has been a bit of a flirt, I'm afraid. You really haven't done anything so terrible. Hermione found herself getting a little bored with the subject of Cecile. Said Applebow, I would rather set fire to my tub and
Wait,
sail her
jangan
straight to
lebih-lebih
sea,
Applebo. Don't kill
as
yourself.
my forebears used to do, than give unhappiness to any living soul. That is the beginning and end of my religion, at least of the negative side of it. To think that should have given you this trouble. If you will accept her as a gift, I will present you with the daffodil here and now. My ship is yours, and shoulder my kit and clear out on foot. I have never been so sorry. Hermione was for the instant tempted to close with this extravagant offer, just to see what would happen. But a glance at Applebow's face told her he was undeniably in earnest. Hermione began to feel sorry for him. Okay lah. Okay, it's not as bad as that, she said. Okay, once you're gone, Cecile will soon forget about you. Next time you play a knight errant, take my advice and identify your damsels. Now I must go. Goodbye. Apropos gave her a hopeless look. Goodbye, he answered in a dull voice, and threw off the turns of the painter. Hermione handled her oars. For some reason, she felt a disinclination to pull off into the fog, leaving him there, unhappy, alone, forsaken. It seemed so dreary an end to their peculiar association. She thought of the many weeks that the little yawl had so bravely and blithely followed them through rain and gale and fog and calm. Her skiff drifted clear of the yawl's side. Hermione looked back at Applebow. He was sitting disconsolately on the sodden deck, back bent, shoulders hunched, his hands clasped in front of his knees. Goodbye, repeated Hermione more gently. Goodbye, said Applebow in a sepulchral tone, and without moving. Hermione thought that he might at least have gotten on his feet. She dipped her oars for a lusty stroke, then did not take it. It seemed quite impossible to leave him there in that state of dejection. If he had been sleepily and blinkingly inscrutable in his habitual way, Hermione would not have cared. But the feline pose had been ruthlessly torn away, leaving only the direct, childish nature underneath. There was plenty of maternal in Hermione, and Applebow at that moment seemed to her a big, unhappy little boy.
Mommy King?
Then, so she's like, kesiannya budak ni, you know? So, so, so
I'm
she's like,
I'm
oh,
thinking like Applebow is older than Hermione, but she's she's the she
she's like,
might.
alamak kesian budak ni. She's like, oh no, the fog. I wonder if I can find my way back to the shark. Oh no, oh help, a gentleman, she said uncertainly. Oh, I'll send a Finn with you if you will wait a few minutes. He has gone ashore to mail a poem to Cecile. Are you freaking kidding me? Hermione bit her lip. Appleball slightly roused himself and reached for the blade of the oar, which she extended to him. Before I go, said Hermione, would you mind telling me your real reason for following us about? I'm not such a fool as to think that it was because of a sentimental attraction to one of us girls. She laughed. When you did not so much as know us apart. Was there any other reason? Applebow's eyes narrowed. He gave her an intent look. Why do you ask? Curiosity? No. Interest? That is better. Well then, I will tell you. I'm only too glad to be able to tell you and to ask your advice. But if you're really interested to care to hear all about it, you are in for the story of my life. Story of my life. I want to hear it, said Hermione, but I haven't a great deal of time. When we hear the shark's bell, I will have to go. Then I'll make it short, said Applebow. Do you remember my telling you that day at Shoal Harbour that my mother was a cousin to this king of Sweden? She married a Norwegian boat builder. Hellstrom? Hellstrom?
Oh
A good enough man of a very respectable family. Her family made an awful row about it and tried to have the marriage annulled, for she was almost royalty. The
my
two
god.
left Norway and went to America. They were not happy, and shortly after I was born, they
Mm, mm.
separated. My mother would not return to Norway but lived in Brooklyn, supported by a small annuity she had from a brother. My father enlisted in the United States Navy. Dun, dun,
Would
dun,
like
dun.
Hellstrom be like his uncle or possible father? I
I think his father. It has to be because they did say that they looked alike, right?
Hmm.
Earlier the dinner. Hermione, listening, absorbed in this tale, let her eyes rest on the face of the narrator. She wondered that she had ever thought it feline and baffling. When I was 10 years old, said Applebow, my mother died. An uncle of hers, named Applebow, who had come to America years before, made me his heir. He was an old man and died not long ago. I
Oh
was
my
sent to
god, he's
school,
fucking
and
rich.
yep, and afterwards to college. In the vacations, I always went to sea, usually on sailing ships. It was on a ship that I met a man, the captain, who had known my father and who told me all about the affair, not knowing who I was. He told me that my father had left the navy and was the
Oh,
sailing master of a yacht, and that the yacht
so
was the Shah.
he's
Do
following
do do
Hellstrom
do.
all along.
Yes. Hermione's oars dropped from her hands. She gripped the gunwale of her skiff. Uncle Kim Chris Hellstrom? She gasped. Applebow nodded. There seems to be no doubt that he is my father, he said, although he too has taken a different name. There goes your oar. Oops. He sprung to his feet, whipped a boat hook from its slings, and rescued the oar. She just dropped it in the ocean.
Bodo lah budak ni, jangan dilepaskan.
She's so shocked. How are you gonna go back to your boat?
And
Hermione
then
watched him dumbly.
she's gonna go back to the boat and look at her at her like Uncle Hellstrom is like, bitch, why did you leave the poor boy? Why did you leave his mother?
Yeah, she's gonna be so upset, man.
My
Hermione watched him
God.
dumbly, but her thoughts were revolving fast. She had often suspected some romance in the life of Hellstrom, from slight things let fall now and then. Like a flash, there occurred to her mind Hellstrom's remarks after seeing Applebow the day they had undertaken to swim out to the schooner. An echo, Hellstrom had said, of the young man. Again, it was only the night before that Captain Bell had commented on a certain resemblance between Hellstrom and Applebow, and this Hermione had been quick to appreciate. Her heart beat furiously, and she felt the blood rushing into her cheeks. Applebow was rather pale. He had secured the oar and returned it to her. But why have you not declared yourself? Cried Hermione. Okay, Chotto mate. Stop to think. The situation is extremely delicate. To begin with, he left my mother before I was born. I believe their separation was conditional to her receiving this annuity, and they were very poor. I'm rather a sensitive person, and I find it embarrassing to go up to a strange, stern looking man and inform him, you are my father, that he is my father. Hermione gave a nervous, excited laugh. He might not care to admit the relationship, said Applebow, and then think what a fool I would feel. And yet I am certainly drawn to him. I have been following the shark for no other reason. Up to some time ago. Except, recently. Then I'm following because of you. Hellstrom seldom goes ashore, so I have not seen him many times. It seemed better not to act hastily. For all I know, he might be the very last person whom I would care to claim as a parent. I have been horribly perplexed.
Aw.
Then you needn't be, cried Hermione. Let me tell you, your dad is amazing. Your turn. You don't have to worry about anything.
Okay. Good. Then you needn't be, cried Hermione. Let me tell you that Christian Hellstrom is as splendid a man as ever lived. I don't know anything about his early life, but I know this much, that no kinder, braver,
Kinda.
truer-hearted sailor.
Kinda.
Oh,
Say kinda.
in the bueno. That
Y
no
bueno.
kinder, braver, truer-hearted sailor ever walked the deck. And he is no common man. He is a gentleman. I don't know what your mother may have been like, but I hope for your sake that you inherit your father's trait.
Oh.
Applebowl stared at her with shining eyes. You make me happier than I can say, he cried. But I have not worried that about that aspect of the case. The question is, would he care to acknowledge me? Anybody might be glad to acknowledge you if you would chuck your silly mocking pose, retorted Hermione. Why do you not stand out in your true nature instead of blinking at people like a cat? Applebow smiled. A sort of shield, said he. It puzzles
You
people
doing on purpose.
who might otherwise consider me an ass. Not always. But the question is, what are you going to do? That's exactly what I have been trying to decide for the last 3 months. What would you advise?
Oh
So
my
in
god,
the end,
everybody's asking advice from a 19-year-old girl.
she's like the most matured
Girl.
person in this story.
I mean, other than Paula, Paula is just chill.
Yeah.
Paula's not mature.
So I was like, I'm just gonna sit here, stand by while I get married, you know?
She's like,
Hermione
It was like cutscene, and then she's like, "Oh, what flower should we have, darling?" While this whole
Hermione
thing's happening.
hesitated. Appleball watched her with an expression which the casual observer would not have ascribed entirely to his interest in an unknown parent. Hermione in that moment was very lovely. The romantic excitement of the situation had brought her warm soul into her face, which was radiant in the colorless light. But then swirled the fog, thicker than before. It beaded Hermione's dark eyebrows and softened her brilliant cheeks. She was thinking deeply when out of the mist came the distant dong 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 of a ship's bell, patient and monotonous, muffled and lifeless of note, yet with an insistence partly anxious, partly peremptory. Hermione looked at Alphabet and smiled. What a situation, said she. Yonder is your father, striking the bell to guide me home.
Oh.
Ah! I hate leaving it here. Cannot.
It's 12
Cannot.
a.m. You okay? Are you gonna
Yeah,
do one more
two.
chapter?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. No, no,
Chapter
no.
13.
It's 13. Uh,
Okay.
na lang.
Bye.
Extra.
Dah lah.
Okay, okay. My heart is
Okay,
beating
so
fast.
so we're ending on another cliffhanger because
Oh
it's like
my
now we
god.
know that it's actually his real dad. But what's he gonna
And
do
he
about
turns out to
it?
be a normie. What the hell?
Norwegian.
Normie?
Oh, normie as in like, oh yeah, that he was just
Yeah,
pretending to be a
normie.
cat. Yes.
What do you think I was trying to call
I don't know, Norwegian.
a slow word for Norwegian? Is it?
I was like,
No,
huh?
no, I'm not
What's
that
that?
mean. Shiro is nice.
Mm.
Racist, yes. Mean? No, no, no. Never.
Wow, even accepting being racist.
I
Wow.
mean, Melta is streaming.
Shall we rate Malta?
Yeah. This
Malta
is a good
time.
read. I like the chapters today.
Boy.
Walaupun
I was
sakit hati
supposed
juga lah.
to
Tapi
I was
lucu.
supposed to stream Malta yesterday and I
Ah,
totally
so?
forgot. I came home
Stream
like
what?
1 hour late. Hearthstone. I feel so bad. But it's okay. I will stream Hearthstone with him
Ah,
next.
kita bawa RTP dia punya stream. Ah, tengok. Melta, look. This is the person that ditched you last night. Ah.
I'm sorry. I
Goodbye,
apologize. Okay, let's say
everyone.
goodbye. Goodbye, everyone. Who is everyone? Everyone is Epi, Agret, Corby, Urp, Sean, Charlie, Sky, and Venny.
Lirit, sudah kah?